Hello, good evening, everybody. I want to welcome you here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're here Saturday night to do an episode of What's New. It's going to come out a little bit later tonight because I decided to do Rock Legends to honor Bon Scott tonight. 45 years ago, he passed away this month. And so we did that a little bit earlier. So if you want to watch it, you can go back and look under the live videos and you'll find it there. I decided to put it on around 7 o'clock. So this usually comes out at 8. But because of that, I decided to back this up a bit. So this will probably come out around 10 or maybe 10:30 or so. Had to go and listen to it too. I didn't have time during the day. Usually I do that before I do the video. But because I was doing that, I didn't have time. So anyways, we're doing an episode of What's New, and this is a show that we do every week in which I pick an album that's come out in the current year we're in, which in our case is 2025, and we talk about, or I talk about what I've listened to, what I think of it, right? Basically, that's all I do. And so we're going to get into it today. So for What's New this week, we're doing an album from a progressive rock band. Yeah, I guess you could call these guys a progressive rock band. The band is called Toy Weather. This is a Finnish band. Feathers in the Strange Wind is the name of the album. Released January 31st, 2025. So, about a month ago, I guess, on the Apollon Records. About 29, almost 40 minutes, almost like 39, 40 minutes, almost 40 minutes in length. Appearing on this is Sven Holland, vocals and guitar, Frank Hovland on bass. So it's Sven Hovland on vocals and guitar, Frank Hovland on bass, and Rune, I think it's Quaystand on drums. So just the three of them. And I believe there's probably some other people doing instruments in the back, or maybe they're doing them and they just didn't credit themselves with it. So I believe there are 8 to 10 songs. No, there's 10 on this album. Nothing really long. So that's why, I mean, it is progressive, but it's mostly short songs. So nothing very long. Damn, I must be getting tired now. Okay, so there are, like basically I said, 10 tracks on the album. Some good stuff on here, but not quite what I hoped for. So I listened a while ago to a couple of the tracks, and that's how I decided to pick this album. But those were among the better tracks, so there wasn't really anything better than them, which I was hoping for, but it really wasn't. So the first song is called Wild Geese. It's almost 5 minutes in length. The vocals are a bit on the murky side at times, but on the most part, it's a pretty clear vocal song. Low range, but a little bit of that backing vocal sound going on. It's not really backing vocals, but there's like kind of somebody in the background, and maybe him doing multiple vocals. That's my guess. It's a slow, melodic, and a bit of odd noises throughout the track. It's got a bit of a synthesizer background with synthesizer noises and sounds. It's not a bad track. Not bad. It's not a bad opening. The next track up is a little bit longer, a few seconds longer. Woodstock Morning. This is a slow melodic guitar and drum song. The solo is very slow and very mild. It's almost like a picking point, you know. The support vocals are not very well developed. So they're kind of there, but it's more of a hint of them than it is actually sounds like them. Can't really pinpoint anything, really. There are some piano parts on this track, and the song is a very subdued, mellow, low-range type song. You know, maybe it would, if it was a love song, you might want to call it a ballad. Okay, so that's that one wasn't too bad. The next song is probably one of the two favorites on the album, A Part of You. This was one of the tracks I listened to. A Part of You is the name of the track, a little over 4 minutes in length. It's got some Backgroundish type vocals again, that kind of whispery type backing vocals that go on here. Melodic guitar with a solo that's clear but melodic. The vocals are very clear, and a little bit on the frontal side. Most of the stuff's a little bit back, but this one's a little more frontal. He has a bit of a David Bowie inflection to his voice. I think it's the range, he said. Not doesn't really sound like Bowie, but he's in that kind of range where I find Bowie's voice is that he kind of has a little bit of that inflection going on. This is a heavier track than the opening tracks. The solo is, it's kind of a background solo. It's a little bit heavy, a little bit melodic. When I say heavy, I mean it's heavy on the noise, not heavy on like a metal sound or anything like that. It's a bit of a catchier track. It's not a bad track at all, and I liked it. The next one is called Matador. This is where it kind of is weak for a bit. I think there's like 2 or 3 tracks in a row that I found a little bit on the weak side. This opens with a clear but deep voice, and there's kind of a second voice going on there as well. Acoustic guitar part is decent. There's a twin vocal or voice part that kind of dominates this track. It's got this stopgap like noise effects going on, and there's more of a almost like talking like voice sound to it as well. And then of course there's some synthesizers throughout this track, synthesizer noises more like. Tangles is the next song. It's about 3.25 minutes or so. The vocals are kind of noisy, melodic, and deep, and kind of whispery at the same time. Synthesizer noises are the dominant part of the track. It's got a kind of a melodic beat to it as well. So that's the first half of the track, the first 5 songs. The next song is kind of the same as the previous 2. They're not particularly memorable songs. This is called Maybe It's Sad. Very slow, very melodic, with a piano dominated part. The vocals are kind of medium deep. Again, that Bowie inflection going on here. It's clear. Sounds open, like there's nothing blocking it or anything. And it's kind of synthesizer dominated as well, this track. So now it starts to pick up a bit on the back part. So it's like there's the middle part of the album's kind of weak. The back part's a little better. All in the I don't know what I wrote here. Looks like I wrote All in the Beak. Possible, but I don't think that's the name of the track. But All in the Book or All in the Beak, something like that. My handwriting isn't the best, even though I did do a good job writing on this particular one. Usually I'm all over the place, but most of the stuff here is very legible. It's got a kind of a heavy opening with some heavy guitars and drum parts here, more than a lot of the songs on the album. It's got a nice twin vocally deep sound and very clear here. The bass is a lot more forward, and the solo is very melodic and slow. So this is one of the better tracks as well. Days, which is the next song, is about almost 4 minutes. Got a guitar opening. Vocals, once again, slow, melodic, deep, clear. Synthesizer dominated again, another track like that. It's got that twin vocal. It's a little bit heavier than most, with some guitar parts filtering in there. But this is not one of the better songs. So the last 2 songs, it ends off pretty strong. This next song was one of the songs I listened to decide. It's called Sleepy Town. This was not a bad track. It's actually Sleepy Town 1973. Nice acoustic guitar part to open with the synthesizer part accompanying it. Then you got some vocal sounds here. Pretty standard for this group. Nothing out of the ordinary. At this point in time, you won't be surprised by it. It's guitar dominated with a melodic but clear sound. That's the main instrument on this particular track, and I think it adds to it. Now, the last track, I think, is the best track on the album. It's almost 4 minutes in length, standard amount of time. Where All Good People Go is the name of the track. It opens with a very heavy bass part, probably the most heaviest part of the album. It's got a strong, heavy vocal but melodic sound to it as well. The riff is catchy, or the beat is catchy, whatever one you want to call it. And then it's got this slow, heavy, melodic kind of, I don't know, I can't think of the word. So it's a slow, heavy, melodic guitar solo, which is kind of dominant. It's the most dominant part of this particular track. This is probably the best track on the album, one of the two that I think is the best track on the album. I didn't fail any of the songs. There wasn't any I disliked. I just thought that I think the biggest issue with the album was that it was too all the songs were too similar. There was nothing really memorable about any. There's a couple tracks that one track was a little heavier, one had a little more guitar solo, but for the most part they were pretty standard sound. There's nothing really outstandingly memorable about it. Maybe if I listen to it 5-10 times, I might pick up on something that's a little different, but I didn't see any of that here. Overall, I think I was excited because of the two tracks I'd listened to. I thought were pretty good. I thought, okay, if these are just random, I picked two tracks randomly. I figured there's got to be some that are better, and there wasn't anything that was better than what I had listened to initially. But it's not a bad album. I don't think I would order it because it would probably cost me in the range of $40 or $45 to get it shipped from Finland to here. So if I see it around, possibly I would buy it, but I ain't paying $45 for this one, that's for sure. Anyways, decent album. I would recommend listening to it at least once to see if it's something you like. I would venture to call this more of a kind of pastoral sound to it. So to me it's kind of a quiet, subdued, pastoral type progressive rock, melodic in a lot of ways, and not really a fast pace or metal sound or greatly detailed instrumentation. Not that. I actually was not all that impressed with the instrumentation. It was pretty standard stuff. There was nothing complex about it at all. So anyways, that was the album for tonight on What's New, the toy weather, and the album was called Feathers in a Strange Wind. The album cover is kind of a little different too. It's got it's a house which looks like it's a bit of a ridge and a tree, a bunch of kids playing on the outside. For whatever reason, one of the kids is kind of floating in the air. Maybe that's something to do with the wind. I didn't study it that closely to figure it out. But yeah, overall, an acceptable album, but nothing great. So anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please hit the like and subscribe and the notification bell above my head. If you want to make any comments about anything I've said, you can put that in the comment section below. If you've had a chance to listen to the album and you want to put a plug in there or say anything about it, you can do that as well. So anyways, hope to see you next week for What's New. I think we're getting close to the Jethro Tull release. I will probably do it, but I will do it once the album is coming at the store and they call me to go get it so that I have it as a prop. I've been trying to get the IQ, get on the order list for the IQ album, but everybody who's selling it, by the time I get it, it's going to be $50. I don't think I want to pay $50 for an album, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I tried to order it through the record store here, but they are having the same issue because it's an import, so it's going to be expensive to ship it here. The other news out was that Styx is now going to have a new album in May. I'm kind of excited about that because the last two Styx albums have been good. The Mission to Mars I thought was a good album. And the last one, Crash for a Crown, I thought was an exceptionally good album. So I'm hoping that they can do something like they did with Crash of the Crown, but maybe make a few songs a little longer. It would be nice if James Young would sing a little more too, but I think perhaps it's his voice isn't what it once was. So, anyways, we will see you next week on What's New, and I'll have another album to listen to. So take care and goodbye.